What is going on, Washington Commanders? Nation, we are back with another video, and in today's video, I have an interesting opinion that people are going to call me crazy for, but I'm going to come out and say it. Marshon Lattimore, okay, the star acquisition at the trade deadline that the Commanders traded to get from the New Orleans Saints, traded a third-round pick for him, has been this staff, this new Adam Peters, new Dan Quinn, new Josh Harris staff, their first big miss. In my opinion, that is exactly how it should be stated. Their first big miss on a player, because they did very good in free agency last year, but this trade was their first big miss. Now, I do like the effort to go out and get a player, though, so we're going to talk about this. Before we get into the video, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Now let's go ahead and get into the video. So, after the game yesterday, when Marshon Lattimore arguably had his worst game as a Commander, so here's what he said. Can't win if they are +3 on the turnover margin, meaning the offense, like that, and that's really it. This man said you can't win a football game if you're +3 on the turnover margin. He's right. But the good players that you want to keep on your team, they're going to put all the credit on themselves. What does Jaden Daniels do? He puts all. If we get a loss, if we play bad, he puts all of it on himself. And he takes it for himself. He takes the bullet for himself. Marshon Lattimore, that's not showing a leader. That is not showing a good sign of Lattimore and what's to come for him. So he has that comment. Along with the games that he's played, he's looked like trash. The game against the Eagles gets scored on by A.J. Brown, but we still won that game, 36-33. But still, a pretty sloppy game in general. Then, he's been out for forever. It's the hamstring injury, too. The might be the biggest thing is the hamstring injury. He can't stay healthy. He's been out for a while. He's played like 3 games as a Commander. Then you have the Buccaneers game. Sorry, 4 games as a Commander. Then you have the Buccaneers game. He just gets smoked by Mike Evans. Trying to travel with him the whole game, gets smoked by Mike Evans. There's not even a chance. So you have that game where he just performed like trash and really gave Mike Evans a big game and kind of lost that game for us. I'm not going to lie. So you have that game where he just played like terrible. And then you also have the Lions game where he was okay, but he wasn't in man coverage. He wasn't able to do anything. He kind of just didn't get as many reps as normal. It wasn't a normal game for him. And so he just didn't really get the opportunity, and didn't really do anything. So that's a sloppy game. But then this game really does bad. Tries to go on A.J. Brown a few times, gets burnt, gets a big time penalty for personal foul, unnecessary roughness actually, I believe, and hugs A.J. Brown, and then just a bunch of different things that he did yesterday was bad. But then also on top of that, getting burnt by A.J. Brown, getting burnt by Devontae Smith. So really just a bad few games for Lattimore. And then after, the icing on the cake is the comment where he says, we're +3 on the turnover margin. You can't have that if you want to win the game. And while he's right, he played a terrible game himself. And the leaders, the winners in life, they're going to put the credit on themselves. They're going to take it on themselves. They're going to take the bullet in the post-game interview. And he did not do that, and I don't like to see it. He's supposed to be a leader on this defense. Dan Quinn and Adam Peters said this is a guy that they brought in to be a leader and a franchise guy. He is still pretty young, but so far he hasn't manned up. He hasn't, been a man. He hasn't played in these games. He's been injured most of the time. The games that he's played, he's gotten burnt. The games that he's played, he's cost us penalties. The games that he's played, he's been bad. The games that he's played, he hasn't been able to keep his control. So I don't know what he's talking about, because he's the biggest guy that's cost us games. But on the other side, as I called this the Adam Peters and Dan Quinn era, their first big miss as the coaches of this staff, and the guys that pick players and the scouts, while they're doing that, and I think this is their first big miss, I do like the effort. They had to try and get a cornerback. We were 7-2 by the time the trade deadline came around. They had to try and get a cornerback. So at the same time, I'm not mad for them being aggressive and trying to go get a cornerback that's established himself with the Saints. Definitely not mad for that, but also he just hasn't worked out so far. Not what we wanted. But yeah, I would definitely call this staff's first big miss. I mean, you look at free agency, that went very well. Frankie Louvu, Bobby Wagner, Zach Ertz, they've all worked out. Jeremy Chin worked out. Austin Eckler worked out, and all these guys worked out. And you know, you look at Marshon Lattimore, and the guy that we traded for at the trade deadline, he didn't really work out, in my opinion. I mean, that was a bad move by the staff. But there's no blame for them because they were just trying to get a player. They were trying to get a cornerback. And, you know, Marshon Lattimore, I still do believe in him. I still do believe in his game. Okay, I still do believe in what he can do on the field and his production on the field over these past few years. But at the same time, he's got to step it up. I mean, he's got to train a lot this year. He's got to get his body in better shape to not be injury prone every single year. We gave up a third round pick for this guy. And while that's not the highest pick, that's still a decent sized pick. And so we don't want to make this worth nothing. And we definitely don't want to get rid of Marshon Lattimore anytime soon. I believe that breakthrough is coming through. But as of now, I would label him as Dan Quinn and Adam Peters' first big miss in recruiting players and trying to trade and sign players. Definitely their first big miss, in my opinion. But that's all right. I like them trying, and I'm never going to hurt anyone for trying. I'm never going to, say anything for trying. I like their effort, and I like what they decided to do. But he is the staff's first big miss. That interview really set it off for me. And, Jaden Daniels was in half tears after that game. Marshon Lattimore, it doesn't really look like he cares. It doesn't look like he cares. While Jaden Daniels is in tears. While Jaden Daniels is saying, that's my fault, that's my bad. Even though he didn't have a single fumble, he didn't give up a touchdown, he doesn't even play defense, he's the only one that came ready to play. And he's still the one saying it's my fault. This guy's a rookie, doing better than a veteran in Marshon Lattimore. He's going to have to teach that veteran a few tips. He's going to have to teach that veteran a few things. Because as of right now, the veteran looks like Jaden Daniels. The leader looks like Jaden Daniels. We got to see more out of Marshon Lattimore next year, over the offseason too. I'm tired of seeing him get burnt and have a bad attitude about it and cry. There's no crying in this league. If you're out of your prime, all right, when we just picked you in the wrong time, we gave up a third-round pick, whatever, we move on. But Marshon Lattimore is going to have to step up. I didn't like what I saw. I didn't like that interview. And I just didn't, like that game, this playoff stretch, and any of the games he's played in this season as a Commander. But that's all I got for right now. Leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel. It's free. Hail to the Washington Commanders, and I'll see y'all boys in the next video. Peace out, everybody.